What's up, guys? I got the Ram 50 in the shop today. Did a little eBay engine rebuild. So last episode we put 5-load conversion on the front. We still need to put it on the back. We did drop spindles before that, and I believe the video before that we got the thing running because it's been sitting in my yard a long time, locked up, and the carburetor was flooding. So this engine's in pretty bad shape. It's I believe it has a lot of blow by. The seals are all gone. So right after I got it lowered, I drove it for a week to work. And about 30 minutes away, and I go twice a day because I come home for lunch to let my dog out. And just in that week it went through a quart of oil, so it's not really practical for me to be driving it a whole lot until we kind of get that fixed. So yeah, we're gonna get the engine out, go through it, basically just bought some new parts. We're gonna pull it apart and put it back together with the new parts, and hopefully we will fix the oil leaks and maybe get a little more power. Maybe it'll run a little smoother. That'd be cool. A little quieter. Anyway, so let's get started. So here's a look at all the parts I got. I've got a starter and an alternator. I bought these a while back, and I believe I showed them in one of the last videos. Back here we got a couple of oil seals. I don't know if these are the right ones. Those are actually for the transmission, so probably replace the front one, and the back one will probably replace when we do the Toyota rear end. Got a gasket set, got main and rod bearings, got rings, some new lifters, clutch, and a timing belt kit. So some of this stuff's probably wrong. Bought it on eBay, so never know, but we'll replace what makes sense, and if we don't find anything wrong with the engine, we'll just put it back together. Obviously the engine should go to the machine shop and get cleaned up, but I'm going to eventually convert this over to a 4G63. I'm going to use this block probably, and I have a dual overhead cam head for it, and we'll put turbo and everything on it. And so right now just mostly trying to fix the oil leaks. That's the biggest concern here, and I imagine it'll make a little more power because the rings are probably shot. So why don't we start off by I'm gonna pull the carburetor off and we'll do a compression test just to kind of see where we are at. So before I pull the carburetor off, let's take a look at the engine. It's got a fake Weber carburetor. I believe it's a knockoff. I think I got it right after they started making the knockoffs. I bought this truck probably 12, 13 years ago, something like that. And when I got it, it would run, but the throttle pedal did nothing but kind of change the sound of the engine. So the carburetor was shot that was on it. It had the factory carburetor. They're really complicated. So instead of fixing that, I just bought a Weber. It does leak gas a little bit. The valve cover's rusted, but it cranks up and runs, and it's easy to work on. So you see I already got a racing coil on here, so we won't have to do anything with that. Got I believe that was the EGR system blocked off, and a new upper radiator hose. Other than that, it's pretty much factory. What I did whenever I changed the carburetors, I also pulled the head off. I changed the head gasket and replaced the valve seals, and I think the timing belt. So the timing belt's not really that old. I mean, it's got some age on it, but it hasn't been run very much. But we'll put a new one on it anyway, and I got some of the little pulleys for the timing belt too, so hopefully I'll get rid of some squeaking. Other than that, probably just clean it up a little bit. But we'll get the carburetor off and we'll do a compression test. So I got the spark plugs off. I got the carburetor off, but pull the spark plugs out. They look pretty bad. See, it's they're real oily. I don't know if that's currently happening or if that's from whenever the engine was stuck. I don't think I cleaned these before, so I mean a lot of this is just from when it was sitting, but they're really white. I know it's running lean. I actually put a manual choke on this pretty recently because I was just having trouble. The choke mechanism had become difficult to turn, and the little heater spring couldn't turn it anymore. So but yeah, they're all really white and cruddy. I mean, I guess it was running all right. So I mean, that one's pretty much bridged over on the edge over there with crud. And this one looks real bad. It's actually got a bridge of crud across the spark gap. But yeah, I don't know. Doesn't matter. We're about to clean it all up. I'll probably just buy some spark plugs And yes, let's get the compression tester out and see what it looks like. Alright, so I would think if this was a good working engine, it'd be about 150. I figure we probably got 90, 80, something like that. Doesn't seem to have much power. I don't know if I can get this where you can see it. Yeah, it's not going to let me. Maybe right there. Zoom in. There we go. So I'll go turn it over. That's in cylinder 1. Of course, it rolled over. I'm gonna cut that off. Looks like we got 130. It's not bad. Let's go to cylinder 2. Alright, cylinder 2. Of course I pushed the button. Alright, let's do it again. Cylinder 2, we have maybe 100, 110. Go into 3, so that was 130 and 110. It's a pretty big jump. Might be part of the reason the engine shakes so much. So now we're on cylinder 3. Oh wow, 60? That's terrible. I wonder if we've got a blown head gasket, which would be interesting because I did replace it when I first got it, but I've overheated this thing a lot of times. And cylinder number 4. Four's 110 also. So I guess that was 130, 110, 60, and 110. That's pretty terrible. So we'll check it again after we do the rebuild. Hopefully the rings in the head gasket will take care of that. So I think that I am going to pull the hood off to make this a little easier to work on. Been working on this for a couple hours now. I got a lot of stuff off. So let's see, the alternator, it's covered in oil, and it was sitting under the power steering pump, which is also covered in this really thick oil. And every now and then I have to put power steering fluid in it, so I think we might have to take a look at that. But pretty much just have the exhaust on this side. And then over here I still have the air conditioner compressor and the starter. And then I think just those 2 heater hoses right there. And nothing holding it in but motor mounts and transmission. So next time I get out here, hopefully I'll get those things loose and pretty much have it ready to pull out. Alright guys, this next day. Didn't work on it anymore last night. I came out this morning and worked on it. And so I got the exhaust. I just took the manifold off of the head because I couldn't get the bolts loose down there. And hopefully it won't fight us too much. And I went ahead and took the intake off too, just to make it easier to get to the starter. And should be ready to pull out. I got all the bolts out the transmission. I got a floor jack supporting the transmission. So I just need to find somewhere to bolt the lift to. There aren't any lift points, and the best I have, I think, is probably, I might take this bracket off and use one of these bolts. And then back here, I'm just going to have to use the intake manifold bolt. I don't see a way around it. So let me get that set up and we'll try to pull this thing out. Surface looks really good. It's nice and smooth. Still a little bit of pad there. These probably would have been fine. They were barely tight. I think one bolt I had to actually use the breaker bar on. The other ones I could have just broke loose. So I'm going to use the impact wrench to get the flywheel off. That looks pretty good too. Bearing's really rough. Yeah. Alright guys, the engine's out, it's on the jack stand. That was my goal for the weekend, so I'm probably going to break these videos up somewhere, depending on how long they are, and try to keep them kind of short. And so this may be the end of part one. If so, then in the next one we're going to pull the engine apart and see, if nothing else, why cylinder number 3 only had 60 psi. I did check it twice. It was definitely 60 psi, so there's something going on there. And I replaced the head gasket when I first got it, so I'm kind of concerned it's a bottom end thing, but as nasty as those spark plugs were, hopefully there's just a bunch of buildup on the valves. But anyways, stay tuned for the next video. We'll pull it apart. Alright, so cylinder 3 definitely has some damage. It's not scored like rings or anything. It's like water damage, like some rust